headlines of this hour on VTV News. Vietnam shares vision for the future at UN General Assembly. And Ho Chi Minh City's 5th Economic Forum drives sustainable development. In our world news, Lebanese refugees rush to safety as conflicts erupt.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyền Trân with the top stories. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm delivered a powerful and comprehensive speech at the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York on Tuesday. His message focused on leaving no one behind, acting together for the advancement of peace, sustainable development, and humanity for today and future generations.
In his speech, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm highlighted the significant changes facing the world today. Peace, cooperation, and development are confronting severe challenges. These include intense strategic competition and rising risks of conflict, calling for collective action from nations.
Each state must act responsibly, fulfill its commitments, and abide by international law and the UN Charter, including fundamental principles such as the peaceful settlement of disputes, non-use of force, sovereign equality, territorial integrity, and respect for the political systems chosen by the people of each nation. States should also contribute to the common work of the international community in line with their capabilities. We must tirelessly strengthen solidarity, sincerity, and trust among nations, uphold dialogue, eliminate confrontation, and firmly oppose unilateral embargoes and sanctions that contravene international law and the UN Charter.
Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm called for the establishment of intelligent global governance frameworks with a long-term vision for science and technology. He emphasized the importance of putting people at the center of all policies and actions. Vietnam, he affirmed, is committed to working towards a future that is peaceful, stable, prosperous, and sustainable, not just for its own citizens, but for all nations worldwide.
Meeting with the President of the 79th United Nations General Assembly, Phie, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm stated that Vietnam remains steadfast in its support for multilateralism, with the UN playing a central role in global governance and the UN General Assembly considered the most important body, comprising all member states. Vietnam is also ready to promote trilateral agricultural cooperation, which consists of sponsorships from development partners, Vietnam's experts, techniques, and crops, and other nations, including Cameroon. Yang, who previously served as Prime Minister of Cameroon, lauded Vietnam's relationship with the UN and Cameroon, its impressive socio-economic achievements, and its increasingly prominent role on the global stage. He agreed to collaborate with the Southeast Asian nation to promote compliance with the UN Charter, international law, and multilateralism. Now, during his U.S. trip, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm met with United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres to discuss deepening cooperation. The Vietnamese senior leader called on the UN to continue advancing collaboration in energy transition, green transition, digital transformation, and developing a digital governance system, focusing on the interests of developing nations, including Vietnam. They agreed to intensify dialogue, deepen Vietnam-UN and ASEAN-UN relations, and promote ASEAN's central role in addressing regional issues, especially maintaining peace and stability and resolving disputes in the East Sea. They also agreed on measures to realign efforts with the 2030 Agenda, promote sustainable development, accelerate energy transitions, enhance global challenge response capabilities, and further boost Vietnam's contributions to United Nations peacekeeping operations. Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm had meetings with UNICEF Executive Director Catherine Russell and United Nations Development Program UNDP Administrator Achim Steiner as part of his U.S. trip to discuss the following topics.
Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm praised UNICEF's support for expanding children's vaccination programs in a discussion with UNICEF's Executive Director, Catherine Russell. He urged the organization to provide policy guidance and implement support packages that ensure the optimal care, protection, and education for children affected by Typhoon Yagi. Both parties plan to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Vietnam-UNICEF relations and the 35th anniversary of Vietnam's ratification of the Convention on the Rights of the Child next year. Catherine Russell confirmed UNICEF's commitment to the Vietnam-UNICEF Country Program for 2022-2026, which focuses on addressing the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi.
In a meeting with UNDP Administrator Achim Steiner, Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm highlighted UNDP's significant role in Vietnam's development. Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm emphasized the need for ongoing assistance from UNDP and the Mekong River Commission in sustainably managing water resources to enhance resilience against water security challenges in the region. The UNDP Administrator, Achim Steiner, reassured that Vietnam would be supported in developing socio-economic policies that are green, sustainable, and inclusive.
Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm met on September 24th with Bulgarian President Rumen Radev, Finnish President Alexander Stubb, Kuwaiti Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah Al Khaled Al Sabah, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
In discussions with President Rumen Radev, Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm emphasized the need to leverage the EVFTA agreement effectively. He urged Bulgaria to advocate for prompt ratification of the Vietnam-EU Investment Protection Agreement by EU member states and to lift the yellow card on Vietnamese seafood exports. President Radev committed to enhancing cooperation with Vietnam in healthcare, pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, information technology, agriculture, environmental protection, and natural resource management.
In a meeting with Finnish President Alexander Stubb, Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm showed gratitude towards Finland's ratification of the Vietnam-EU Investment Protection Agreement. He called for both nations to strengthen delegation exchanges, enhance bilateral cooperation, and boost collaboration in education, training, culture, and sports. President Stubb committed to encouraging Finnish businesses to invest in Vietnam, particularly in telecommunications, renewable energy, water treatment, forestry, and information technology. Both sides agreed to seize opportunities from the EVFTA and enhance cooperation on multilateral platforms.
Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm welcomed Kuwaiti businesses to invest in Vietnam, focusing on green growth, climate change initiatives, and halal food sectors in the meeting with Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah Al Khaled Al Sabah. He affirmed Kuwait's view of Vietnam as a key Southeast Asian partner.
In a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm expressed concern over the ongoing conflict and called for a peaceful resolution in accordance with international law and the United Nations Charter. It was emphasized that once the conflict ends, Vietnam is ready to assist with Ukraine's reconstruction efforts and hopes for continued protection of Vietnamese citizens and businesses in Ukraine. President Zelensky appreciated Vietnam's stance and expressed a desire for Vietnam's support of the First Peace Conference declaration in Switzerland and assistance in addressing the aftermath of the conflict.
Meeting with President of the European Commission, or EC, Ursula von der Leyen, Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm congratulated the President on her re-election as President of the EC for the 2024 to 2029 term. He emphasized the need to continue promoting delegation exchanges and high-level contacts between the two sides and maximizing the effectiveness of existing cooperation and dialogue. He also suggested that they continue to effectively implement the Vietnam-EU Free Trade Agreement, or EVFTA, including the prompt removal of the European Commission's yellow card, and continue support for Vietnam in implementing measures against illegal, unreported, and unregulated, or IUU fishing. The EC president proposed that the two sides work towards upgrading their relations and reaffirmed the EU's commitment to coordinating the effective implementation of existing agreements and mechanisms to promote cooperations in all areas. She also emphasized the importance of strengthening collaboration to address global challenges. Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm met with the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, in New York on Tuesday. The top-ranking Vietnamese leader asked the IMF to continue assisting Vietnam in promoting economic restructuring, reforming the growth model, conducting digital transformation and a green transition, and developing new technologies such as artificial intelligence in tandem with ensuring social security and eliminating poverty in the spirit of putting people at the center and leaving no one behind. He reaffirmed Vietnam's strong commitment to continue upholding its role and responsibility in settling global issues for a peaceful and prosperous world. The IMF Managing Director reaffirmed the organization's commitment to supporting Vietnam in its efforts to achieve development goals by promoting reforms and improving risk management, with the ultimate objective of becoming a developed, high-income nation by 2045. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính opened the 5th Ho Chi Minh City Economic Forum on September 25th, which was centered around the theme Industrial Transformation, a new driver for sustainable development in Ho Chi Minh City. The event was attended by 1,500 delegates from various countries and sectors.
In the opening speech, Secretary of the Ho Chi Minh City Party Committee, Nguyen Văn Ninh, highlighted key priorities for sustainable development. He emphasized green transformation as a driving force, digital transformation as a breakthrough, and collaborative development as an essential mission.
We often discuss infrastructure investment, but we need to invest in digital infrastructure to achieve digital transformation. My question for the Prime Minister is, while he has decisively advanced physical infrastructure like highways, will he apply the same urgency to digital infrastructure? Not only am I committed, but I am even more determined. The most crucial aspect of digital infrastructure is electricity and connectivity. We must ensure a reliable supply of clean energy, as previously discussed regarding green energy. Developing digital infrastructure must extend coverage to remote and border areas to ensure no one is left behind.
In closing the dialogue, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính praised the successful organization of the 5th Economic Forum. He addressed the necessity of transformation, stating that changing circumstances demand appropriate responses to ensure continued growth. He strongly supported the delegates' calls for comprehensive industrial transformation, emphasizing the need to revitalize traditional industries while fostering new sectors like the digital economy, green economy, sharing economy, and new energy industries.
First, we must reform institutions to ensure harmonious, rapid, and sustainable development. Second, we need to invest in strategic, digital, and green infrastructure and measures to combat climate change and enhance healthcare and transportation. Third, we must focus on human resources. Ho Chi Minh City should lead the national human resource training.
The Prime Minister highlighted the need to develop institutions in collaboration with the city, prioritizing policies that leverage local resources.
Coming up next on VTV News. FDI Enterprises is a major driver in Vietnam's post-typhoon economic growth. And Quảng Nam Province offers insights on post-typhoon resettlement.
When it comes to business, it's crucial to choose a smart location with global impact. and Vietnam might just be the location for you. Connect worldwide to advanced logistics networks. Smart Hub for technology and innovation. A dynamic business ecosystem. An environment with a competitive edge.
Welcome back to VTV News. Now, the Asian Development Bank, or ADB, remains optimistic about Vietnam's economic growth this year, despite global market risks. Now, in a report released Wednesday morning, ADB acknowledged the significant damage caused by Typhoon Yagi, but emphasized that Vietnam's recovery efforts are well within the country's capability. The government's recently announced policies are expected to support sustained growth. ADB highlighted the importance of inclusive and sustainable growth, which Vietnam has excelled at. Inflation is projected at 4% within the target range, though it may be affected by oil prices due to Middle East conflicts. However, ADB urged faster public investment disbursement and emphasized that fiscal and monetary policies should focus on price stability and growth support. Currently, all major industrial parks in northern provinces and cities affected by Typhoon Yagi have resumed operations. Many FDI enterprises have scheduled overtime shifts to compensate for production disruptions, ensuring order fulfillment and sustained growth.
In the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi, this technology company concentrated on completing final preparations for the scheduled launch of its new facility.
With support from local authorities, we are confident that the factory will be operational by the end of September. We will be on schedule and ramp up production for the year-end period.
High-tech investment has been a key trend for FDI this year. Notably, Amcor Group, the world's largest semiconductor manufacturer, increased its investment in Vietnam by over $1 billion in June, 11 years ahead of schedule.
We surveyed multiple locations and ultimately chose Vietnam for its robust ecosystem. The Provincial People's Council issued Resolution 05, approving support for teachers and students.
Realized FDI Vietnam over the past 8 months is estimated at $14.15 billion, the highest in 5 years.
Promoting Vietnam to investors involves leveraging social media, documentation, outreach through associations, and organizing specialized meetings and seminars.
Our exports grew by 16%, with the FDI sector contributing nearly 14%. The PMI index has remained above 50 points for 5 consecutive months, reflecting a rise in orders and production in Vietnam.
This year, Vietnam aims to attract $39 to $40 billion in FDI, double the current level. International organizations have demonstrated strong investor confidence in Vietnam's business climate, backed by FDI inflows, combined with the government's determination to achieve 7% GDP growth.
Nearly 350 residents from over 65 households in Nam Mịn Village, Nậm Ti Commune, Sông Mã District, Sơn La Province have been evacuated to a safer location along with their belongings. The villagers have built temporary bamboo shelters approximately 700 meters from their previous homes. Nam Mịn Village is in a mountainous region with steep slopes and in recent days have brought heavy rainfall. And upon inspection, large fissures have been discovered in several areas, increasing the risk of landslides and directly threatening the community's safety. The villagers are hoping that local authorities will urgently arrange a permanent resettlement site to help them return to normal life. Nam Trà My is one of Quảng Nam Province's most geologically challenging mountainous districts, with frequent landslides due to its complex terrain. The authorities and people of Nam Trà My have been actively addressing this issue in recent years. Their experience can prove valuable in addressing the aftermath of natural disasters and also establishing new settlement areas, which has emerged as a priority after Typhoon Yagi's aftermath brought about devastating landslides that buried vast tracts of residential areas.
The tragic memories of the 2020 Tralang landslide remain vivid, but today, everything has changed. The entire Tralang village has been relocated to a safer area.
It's safer here. The most important thing is to have a house first. We can gradually rebuild from here.
Nam Trame district immediately began searching for safe land for relocation, just 1 week after completing search and rescue efforts. The Departments of Agriculture and Rural Development and Natural Resources and Environment collaborated with local communes and villages to identify safe locations for new residential areas.
We ensure the provision of essential infrastructure like water, electricity, roads, schools, and health centers. Importantly, the new residents must respect the community's preferences and allow them to make their own decisions.
During this process, local authorities, village elders, and experienced community members have worked together to ensure a consensus to encourage long-term settlement.
We approach this work with determination and sensibility. We raise public awareness and encourage the community to support one another. Those who have land are giving it to others who don't. The land here is precious, but some families are left without land when disasters strike. I felt sorry for them and donated land for their new homes.
Over the past 7 years, Nam Trame district has led the province in resettling ethnic communities from disaster-prone mountain areas. So far, nearly 3,000 households have been relocated in 64 newly established areas, and no landslides have been reported in these new settlements.
Coming up next in our world news, Lebanese refugees rush to safety as conflicts erupt. And Iran ready to work with world powers to resolve a nuclear standoff. Now moving on to our world news, recent conflicts in Lebanon have triggered a mass evacuation as many flee from southern Lebanon to the capital Beirut and northern provinces or cross into neighboring Syria. Over the past 3 days, evacuees have lived in constant fear, uncertain of their fate if chaos continues to erupt. More to follow.
Long lines of cars have been rushing toward the Masna border crossing between eastern Lebanon and Syria. People have fled southern Lebanon, the eastern Bekaa Valley, and Beirut's southern suburbs in the wake of heavy Israeli bombardment.
It's terrifying out there. We are supposed to arrive in Syria, but we've been sitting in this truck for more than 8 hours and haven't managed to cross the border.
Volunteers at the municipality center in the northern Lebanese town of Deir Ammar welcomed displaced families and provided mattresses, blankets, and food.
We have formed a crisis center to receive our families and brothers from the south and the southern suburbs.
Volunteers set up a kitchen to cook meals for the displaced at an empty Beirut gas station. The group planned to prepare 400 to 500 meals, which would then be distributed at schools housing the displaced.
We are trying to help in any way we can to ease people's pain and tell them we are by your side. We are all in this together.
Lebanese authorities have also suspended all educational activities nationwide until the end of the week and repurposed public schools as shelters for displaced citizens.
Iran is ready to end its nuclear standoff with the West. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian told the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday. President Pezeshkian said that Iran is ready to engage with the signatories of the 2015 nuclear deal if the deal's commitments are implemented fully and in good faith. Dialogue on other issues can follow. Earlier, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Tehran is ready to resume negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. Iran has scaled back its commitments following the U.S. withdrawal from the agreement, and several indirect talks between the U.S. and Iran aimed at restoring the deal have taken place, but no results have been achieved so far. The Iran nuclear deal was signed between Iran and the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, including China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States and Germany. Hong Kong, China has reclaimed its spot as Asia's top financial center, knocking out Singapore back to second place in the region for the first time since 2022. In the latest Global Financial Centers Index, Hong Kong, China ranked third globally, behind New York and London. This index places Hong Kong, China in pole position for a business climate, banking and financial technology, and asset management. A high-performing stock market and increasing numbers of listed stocks have helped Hong Kong, China consolidate its financial edge. Now, on Tuesday, Thailand became the first country in Southeast Asia to legalize same-sex marriages. Thai King Maha Vajiralongkorn signed a historic marriage equality law that will take effect in January 2025. The law on marriage now uses gender-neutral terms in place of men, women, husbands, and wives, and also grants adoption and inheritance rights to same-sex couples. Opinion polls reported in local media have shown overwhelming public support for equal marriage. However, parts of the public retain conservative values. Now, as usual, let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app at VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel, VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.